definitely, I'm very hopeful na sana there's that chance. Now, converting that hope, ika nga, into reality is another matter, di ba? Although what I did was to study and assess well yung competition sa Victoria Falls para lang mas maintindihan ko whether, that reality would basically convert or not. After yung careful assessment of the facility, of the management, of how professional these people are, and of the terrain, which is the most important thing, I think we have a very good fighting chance, and I'm being totally honest about it. Having that information already, so I basically came home and started planning on what to do. No, and so when I put the pairs together, I have the scenarios in mind already, and basically designing genetically, ika nga, what I think would fly well doon sa competition na ganon. For us to be competing, we have to believe that we can truly win the race, or at least be competitive in that, and the chance of winning. For me, kasi I don't believe in competing when there's no chance of winning. I'm very, very happy and very fortunate and very blessed to be able to achieve that result. No? Of course, there's always room for improvement. But I think having had that chance to be able to put together a design and then achieving the result, I think we're quite confident in saying that, I think we're geared towards the right direction. Ang number one na nakita ko talagang magiging deterring factor doon would be yung challenge in as far as the environment is concerned. Alam mo kasi ang terrain ng South Africa, particularly sa Zimbabwe, is unforgiving in such that during these times, malamig sa umaga pero mabilis umiinit yan pagdating ng tanghali. That would be one. Number two, yung terrain niya kasi is such that ang natural water holes will be quite far in between. In fact, ang na-observe ko doon nung pumunta ako, maraming areas na ang water holes for the wildlife is actually man-made. Although of course we're talking of Victoria Falls, which is napakalapit and napakalaking stretch ng water, pero along the way, papasok o papunta roon sa pagliliparan, talaga water holes definitely another factor. Number three, you cannot deny the fact that the wildlife in South Africa is very, it's wild, it's raw. So I would avoid off-colors, definitely. I would avoid pigeons that are easier for birds of prey to spot. Because of the scenarios, you cannot send an extreme bird in phenotype. Kasi, like for example, when I say phenotype, although we have to always consider na ang kalaban natin dyan, mostly from Europe and from Arab countries where normally matutulin na ibon yan. But then again, fast birds require larger volumes of air, and of course, ang maintenance niyan, because usually medyo mas malaki sila ng konti, yung kanilang requirements for nutrition, for maintenance, medyo mas extreme din ng konti. You would try to avoid that, pero you would also have to consider na hindi rin pwedeng sobrang bagal, which is leaning towards the other side, which is yung extreme naman. So it's very important that you put this together in mind when you put together a pair. Pero being true to what I have developed, which is, and particulars, the type of pigeons that do well in the Philippines, especially sa South, we have to put emphasis on doon sa trait na gusto natin, which is more on doon sa homing. Napapansin nating lines that are apparently better in terms of, let's say, pag mga harder races. Nakikita natin parang mas may pattern with regards toughness pagdating sa, or better performance pagdating ng mga tough races. Although ito kasi mga traits na to are very hard to pass on, hindi siya highly heritable eh. So you have to be constant in dun sa tinatawag nating recurrent selection parameters, na you have to look into both sides of the pedigree so that when you put together a pair of pigeon, kailangan lang medyo alam mong meron sila both. Hindi parang one lang tapos yung isa wala. Parang gano'n. Kung pwede Pero at the same time, going back to sa sinabi ko kanina na hindi mo pwedeng kalimutan yung speed. So, kailangan ka pa rin pumili o kumuha ng isa na sa tingin mo makaka-complement further on that. Isang critical part, particular kay Duncan, is that remember that the dam was imported and she came into the Philippines in 2022. One thing very tricky and critical when using a direct import hen is that you should be able to gauge kung yung hen mo has already acclimatized optimally. Kasi you have to remember that the hen is highly, or I should even say that is very much responsible doon sa magiging immune system na dala nung inakay. So kapag hindi siya fully acclimatized, makikita mo na yung anak na ibibigay niya is generally weaker in terms of yung ability nito to withstand stress, in as far as yung ability nito to counter yung mga viral infections and bacterial infections. And you have to remember also that European and American birds, normally pag dinala dito, marami tayong mga bacteria and yung mga local strains ng virus na hindi familiar sa system nila, so it takes time for them to acclimate. Malaking part yan. Kaya ang nangyayari ko minsan when we import, because we're so excited to use a new genetics, ginagamit natin agad. And then pag ginamit natin at pinalipad natin under local conditions where stress is really a big part of the game, tapos hindi gumawa, o nagkasakit, o namatay, o first lap, second lap, nawala na, ang isipin natin kaagad, ay, no good. But in reality, yung genetic expression dito o yung tinatawag nating abilidad nito to show its genetic potential has nothing to do with the achievement. Kasi nga, health pa lang, challenge na, so hindi siya makarecover kaagad. Nasa stress siya kaagad, mas malaki yung stressors na hawak niya o dala-dala niya. So pag hindi nasa optimal health, you cannot expect much. When I decided to use the dam of Duncan, which is Genesis, which was imported from Europe, pero direct purchase ito nung nagbenta sa akin kay Ganos, I had to always put into mind already na isa lang ang gagamitin ko because I wanted to test the compatibility and of course yung how the genetics o combination of genetics would work. So nung pinag-pair ko yan, dalawang lumabas, automatic kaagad, yung isa alam ko hindi ko ililipad. So pumili na lang ako, although I was wanting to send the female, which is the nestmate of Duncan, pero Duncan that time was more robust. Yung nest sister niya nasa akin, iniwan ko kasi that time mas mukhang robust si Duncan. Although again, that is a decision you have to make kasi para sa terrain, inaasahan natin na magkakahirapan. I'm pretty sure that females would usually come out better. So kung titignan mo yung ratio ng nananalo sa harder races, I'd be very confident in saying that normally 70 to 80% babae yan. Why? Because normally females are easier to maintain, to manage. They can easily recover because they don't stress out too much. They don't fight amongst each other. They eat well, and normally mas maliit ng konti ang kaha compared to the male version of that. So normally, mas madaling i-train ng babae. And females, normally, and typically fly better. So mas madali din silang maka-exercise, mas madali silang mag-come into condition.